So I guess it would be appropriate for me to find out, or for all of us to find out, how individually, as corporate entities, as leaders of our organizations, how we have defined corporate sustainability in our own work.
Long-term, flourishing growth, reputation, people, stewardship, and profits. Businesses by definition are sustainable, otherwise they are simply short-term acts of taking the money and run. And that, no one respects companies like that. And so as a result, the people here and the people in the room are people who build on the communities just as a matter of fact and purpose. Our company, is here to build long-term assets, commercial real estate assets, but which by definition have to be sustained and sustainable. Otherwise, they deteriorate and die, and your investment, which is returned over a long period of time, disappears. And so for us, sustainability is part of our raison d'etre. So the question for us becomes, how do we implement certain new important visions into the local experience? First of all, we've been in Ghana now almost 3 years. All of our employees are Ghanaians, except my partner and I. We use as many local firms for professional services, including yours, by the way. And many of these services could be shipped out. And when we do have to ship out certain services that tend to be oriented around technologies that are not yet achievable in the marketplace here, we make sure we link up the local consultants with our other consultants around the world who can bring this knowledge into this community. So we find that very important. For us, the benefit of being, we're young in Ghana, but my partners and I have been in business for decades, generations. And and we're a private company. So what becomes the issue for us is, what do we do with those profits? We have the benefit of making decisions that are not always entirely selfish and self-motivated, because individual business owners get pleasure from what they produce in profits. They get joy from what they produce as benefits for the economy. So you should know that it's in the 35 years of my business career, there's been a great change in the way companies invest the benefits of their success. 40 years ago, you gave money to a charity, you wrote a check, and said thank you. And buildings were built, or schools were given milk, and on and on and on. Now, we all look very clearly at where our money is going to go, and is it going to be invested in a cycle of improvement? And that, I think, is what responsible companies, and thankfully I hope I can say we're doing.
How do you fit in your long-term plans with the imperative for sustainability, including inclusive growth, environmental protection, and all that?
In my business, that's an easy question to answer. We build buildings that people use and pay us rent, and we take the rent, we service our debt, and if we're lucky, we have some profit. We have to maintain those buildings. We build them for generations, and maybe we don't see it in the emerging world as much as I've seen it in the developed world, but we go through communities, old and new, where the structures have survived and provided income for people for generations. That's what we do. And the only way to do that is to build the buildings in all of the best practices which now include environmental sensitivity, that because it's good business not to use too much fossil fuel where you can. On and on. All these things do get back to economic factors. The buildings have to be maintained. Companies in the buildings have to make money. If people in the buildings don't make money, they can't pay our rent. These come naturally to us, but the big change is directly what I said a second ago. The goals of how to achieve those joyful benefits of giving back to the community have changed. So we care about things that generate growth in the community. So I'm going to say a few things on a global approach to what you said and a few things. It is Africa's time. You said that. Everybody says it. I have a unique perspective, perhaps, maybe, at least in this room. You may be able to tell I was not born in Africa. And we are at the beginning of Africa's long time. And I could tell you stories all day about how difficult it is for even people like my partners and me to bring significant capital into Africa, particularly Ghana and Nigeria, which are rated internationally as the #1 place to be. It is easy to say it's Africa's time for Western investors, but they don't truly understand it. And they always pick any one of the 10 reasons on the list to say, well, that's why we're not ready to go there because of X, Y, and Z. Everybody has to accept the fact that it takes a long time to establish a basis of sound investment in the entire community. I think Ghana is doing an excellent job at it. It is a daily process. The government has to be on top of it. Companies have to be on top of it. Investors are very selfish. They need to see their returns. Unfortunately, some investors need to see them, the next day. Those are the people who came. They come to what we all call frontier economies, and they make significant investments, and they make incredibly significant profits, and they move on. The next wave of people like myself, look at areas that can provide, opportunities for my children to be part of the African economy. It is a constant battle of changing people's understandings on the other side and perceptions on the inside about how to best bridge the gap. Now the interesting thing, Frank, you mentioned that there's a list of 70,000 names that somehow get their transactions deferred. I'd like you to check and see if I'm on that list, because I go to Citibank, I take my Citibank card to the Accra Mall to put in for 200 CDs, and they laugh at me. And it turns out that, as you probably know, the global banking system has been tied into knots, not just in Ghana. It happens to me all over the world.
What's your name?
It's on the page. Thank you. I will be brief. In the United States, we incentivized issues that directly impacted two major subjects, sustainability and environmental protection. By doing something very specific, we incentivize companies to essentially see the profit, not just the benefits, the profit of responsible activity. In the United States and Western Europe, a I don't know how many are familiar with the LEED certification, L-E-E-D. It's something that popped up in our industry, the construction industry, about 25 years ago. I had no idea what it was. But what it was is a certification program that contractors and architects developed based on their ability to produce buildings that were environmentally sound. Today, I don't think you can get a government contract without being a LEED certified architect. So there are ways to incentivize it, and I will quickly say that business schools need to teach these things, because I hire business students and very few of them seem to understand what CSR has to do with life.
Thanks.